Okay.
Great. Okay. There you go. But hot right now.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot.
Coming in tired.
Tired and hot.
Coming in full of
anger.
turkey.
Yeah. I'm happy. I had a good Thanksgiving.
And it was your birthday.
And it was my birthday. Who doesn't love that?
22.
Yeah. That's how old I am?
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Nailed it.
Oh, we're on record.
Happy
I'm waiting
birthday.
for music.
Thank
Happy
you.
belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys. 1, 2, 3.
Here we go.
Ooh. That's a little kicker.
You know.
And I feel like it hits me different every week.
Yeah, it has that effect. I mean, I'm doing this noom.
New.
Yeah.
Candice.
Okay.
Candice.
Candice is a pretty sounding name.
Candice is really 1 in a billion.
Oh, I love you so much, Candice.
Who's Candice?
So Kristina, I'm sorry about that.
Mental characteristics
like this.
somebody with the name of Kristina experiences.
Look
Kristina.
at that energy.
Kristina.
It's all in this.
Kristina.
You're Bret, right? Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Bret. You tried to.
The Modern Matters podcast with Candice, Kristina, and Bret.
Number
5.
5. Yes, sir.
Number
Yes,
5.
ma'am.
Woo.
Number 5. Hello, everybody. It is Candice, Kristina, and Bret for
Hi.
episode number 5.
Hello.
The topic today, mind versus heart or heart versus mind. So what'd you say, Kristina? Leaders that lead with their heart versus their mind. That was one of the kind of
Yeah, and how we're
topics.
moving more into like a woke culture, and I think that there's a lot that can be spoken about this. So we'll go into that a little bit further.
All right, I like it. So as we started our circle backs, does anyone have anything from previous episodes that we've done that stands out that you want to circle back to at all?
I might want to circle forward. Candice, are you doing okay? Are you okay?
Why?
No, it
Just
it looks like you've been crying. So
It's good because she's in touch with her emotions. We did talk about this.
There was a long time that
Yeah.
this guy would just call me and be like, "Oh, you sound like you've been crying," and I'm like, "No."
when you do that to somebody
crying.
who's in a good mood and
Yeah.
you're like, "Are you doing okay?"
But I was actually crying.
Oh no, it's just because it looked like you've been crying.
Or
So I
you're
just-
sick. Are you sick? And you think that you've just put your makeup on, you look fabulous.
But
You're
we
like,
did
"Thanks."
it. We did it to Candice's. We were doing it a lot, and it was working wonderfully to annoy people. And then we did it to Candice's dad, and he was not having any of it. He was like, "What are you guys talking about?" No, of course I have not been crying. What are you guys doing? Like he caught on to
Yeah.
us right away.
Yeah.
He knew. You can't outsmart Kev.
That's not a circle back. That is just
No, I know.
That was a circle forward.
That was a circle
apparently,
forward.
we can play that different ways.
Right.
So, our okay, quick circle back for us. Our positive influencers. We're trying to keep this as upbeat as possible, but there's always some truth moments. Truth sometimes maybe doesn't sound like positivity to people, but I think when you're being authentic, it doesn't always come off that
it doesn't.
way, no?
As long as
So I just want to make a comment about something I learned from our last episode, which was narcissism, if I remember correctly.
narcissist, dancing with a narcissist.
So, and we brought up Joey, right? Joey Swoll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my boyfriend.
Yeah, every girl's boyfriend.
Yeah, I just
Good
guy.
Listening back to it, the fact that you brought up that he was married, you guessed, but we were
Is
like,
he? Is he?
I don't
Do
know.
we-
How would I know?
I don't know.
I thought I didn't
Yeah.
look, but Kristina brought up, was he wearing a wedding ring? And then I looked at like, you can't see that.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
It's just
I just
assumed.
made it.
Yeah.
Well, he's a catch. He's
Yeah.
positive,
Yeah, of
and
course.
so. For anyone that didn't tune in to our last podcast, Joey Swoll makes commentary on people's videos who make commentary on other people.
Yeah.
and so he's like making a positive spin on people that are being made fun of in a gym setting, and you guys called me out. You totally called me out.
I did.
Because
I did.
That's how you know you have good friends.
Yeah, this is keeping it real.
Because I was like, oh, I've posted funny videos, but I'm just being funny and it's coming from a lighthearted place. And it was a good reflection piece. So I just want to say thank you, because I don't really come at things being someone who likes to make fun of people.
We know.
But because I make fun of myself all the time, and I'm always the person that's easily made fun of, sometimes I think, oh, it's okay because it's coming from a good place, but that may not be the way it's always interpreted. So I thought it was a good piece and good conversation. And to carry on to today about leaders and being
leading with heart versus
someone who's leading with heart versus mine is I appreciate friends and people around me who can call a spade. And I think we have to be good at accepting some of that. You call it criticism, but I don't think that's necessarily a negative thing. Feedback. Yeah. So shall we enter the convo?
Before we jump in, I would like to call out, there's a little bit of back dialogue going on with the crew that they're trying to get me to swear, guys. And I am not a swearer. I like to kind of get in there with the best of them, but
let one fly.
They're like, come on, today, let today be the day that you end up swearing or cursing on set, I guess, or while we're recording. I highly doubt it'll happen, but be prepared. They are probably going to be prompting while we go through, and this is probably going to be a forever thing that I just wanted to loop you guys in. So if you do hear something, it's very out of the norm for me.
Oh, come on.
Candice and I are waiting for you to open the floodgates so we can start swearing.
Yeah, that's it. Wait, I'm setting the.
I will swear.
Setting the trend.
I don't need anyone to open those.
I know that's why you sent me Kim Kardashian. You thought I was going to let it rip then, but
cheese
no.
and crackers.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what
as
eventually
we're waiting for you to
out.
swear, we're waiting for Bret to cry. Bret does not cry.
I'm still trying.
We have your shot glass here. We're going to catch it.
I'll catch it. And my phone is ready for
Boom.
that selfie.
Yes. All together. Okay.
I'm going to hand this to you technically first.
Oh yeah, because I know we're going to be surprised with something good today.
Yes. For those that know, really the method is usually we go into a conversation, and by near the end, I would say, Bret starts showing us clips that we have not seen.
Never.
And we get to comment on based on the topic of the day. So we'll see what Bret has on store.
Get taken by surprise.
Well, remember the one last week? I literally jumped out of my chair because I thought I was going to fall. But anyways, just like pull it together, and we will start today's conversation.
Let's do it. Where do you want to start? Let's talk about it.
Oh,
Okay.
wait. I cut it down. It's
right there. What is it?
the word heart. We needed the word heart.
Did you feel it? I felt like I was in high school again. All of a sudden I had the plaid on.
I was in my locker looking at myself
oh my
in
God,
that magnetic mirror.
It's so perfect.
With your eyeliner and your almost no eyebrows.
Yeah. And people are like, you would leave the house and your mom would be like, you're wearing that?
Well,
and I'm
I
like,
went
yeah.
No, I'm going to change when I leave.
Yeah, don't worry, Mom. I'm totally covered here. Yeah. So, yes, I guess we can start talking about heart. Okay, so I think one thing that is very clear, at least to me, and I think we can start the conversation, is that there is a shift that's going on. The term woke culture, people are moving into this heart space much more than has been prevalent in the past. So, I want to have a conversation about that, what that means to you guys. So, what does it mean when I say that someone's living their life with heart? Can you think of something or someone?
Oh my gosh. You always come with these tough ones. I feel like we have to go back to your definition of woke though, because that's not a positive thing for me.
Oh, really?
At all. And it's not interpreted that way at all.
Oh my God. This might change the topic of our conversation. What do you mean?
Well, woke is this new, societal change of like the right versus wrong, the left versus right. The woke is not a positive thing by my interpretation whatsoever, and it is not by the definition of today's standard a positive thing.
Okay, well, I think that's another one that we're going to have to look up because, well, I thought woke was just being much more heart-centered than... No? Okay, then I misused it.
I think it's coming from a place of positivity when it began.
Oh, and then
when it was
shifted.
termed as things get termed and things move forward.
Yeah, okay, I'm not into that. I'm like really about the openness, about being more connected to yourself.
That is not the definition of woke.
Well, that's why
I don't
we
really
have
think
this show.
This one has one definition, though. This one actually is pretty interpretive.
Okay, so
I think.
So the real definition is obviously past of wake. So you're awakened by something.
Yeah,
right? You're
it's
woke.
an awakened state.
So the modern day, again, definition of woke is more interpreted as being negative, like people who have an impression that they understand the greater being. So again, we could go to, titles and people's identity. Like it's a pretty huge, I feel like it could be very easily misinterpreted because woke more commonly today is being attributed to people that think they're awake, but really are totally not. Okay. So we have to be, I think, a little bit more careful. That's why I wanted to go back to that definition.
Can we say more of an awakened state? Because I think that's better. If you feel more comfortable with that, that's fine. I think the intention is really, at least the work that I do is really having people kind of align with their authentic self and really drop into that heart space, right? Like, who are you? And if we're going to talk about heart versus mind, the way that I would look at it, and then I will put this out for conversation, think of it this way. Intellect, your IQ, that would be your mind. And then your heart space would be more your emotional intelligence. Okay? So I feel as though that our society is much more...
I took her off. Sorry. I took Kristina off topic here.
Okay, that's fine. Our society is much more intellect-based rather than emotional intelligence-based. So think about how we have set up measurements, like in schools and stuff like that, right? It's all about what grades you get, what's the measurement, how smart are you the smartest person in the room? No one is really... working on that shift where it's more around how you show up emotionally. How do you read a room? How do you connect? How do you show up and inspire and motivate people?
Yeah, I think for me, am I interpreting this wrong? But I think that what you're after when we speak of the topic with heart versus mind is you're talking a lot about going back to within and trusting your instincts and those inner feelings that we get that we're often told to ignore. So it's like, okay, this might be interpreted as being negative, but if your body or your mind or you're feeling to be alerted to some sort of caution with an individual, you would follow that feeling and you would trust that instinct, which would say you're leading with your heart.
Well, it's your inner guidance system,
right?
And I think that what's interesting, we will hear people say, oh, that athlete, he plays with heart. He's like, oh, he's all heart. Well, what does that mean, right? That means that he's tapped into something much deeper than thinking through the process, thinking through what they're supposed to do and whatnot, right? So that emotional piece, I think that there just needs to be a better understanding around emotions and not fear them or shut them out as much as I think that we're
taught to.
Yes, that we're taught to.
Oh my gosh, this topic is huge. This is hard for me to get into.
Oh yeah,
she's fired up.
I'm fired up.
I can see. I'm like, guys, okay.
No, I just wanted to clarify things in the beginning of the conversation, just because I don't want people to misinterpret it. But I like the example of school. I like the example of workplace. I like the example.
Well, I'll tell you, workplace. And then Bret will get your opinion on it. It's just interesting because the workplace is all around mind.
Well,
right?
You leave your feelings at the door. That's what we've always been taught.
That was old school. And the more progressive that we go, and I truly believe this because being in HR for 20 plus years, it is such a joke when I hear, oh, leave your emotions at the door.
Okay, but I have a question. I got to go. I have to do this. I don't mean to interrupt you. I also think that we live right now at today's particular time where that is not the correct thing. I do agree that we are humans. We come to work with emotion. It's hard to leave them at the door. But I think we've also gotten way too far of the oversensitive, and to a point, we have to leave some of it. I
disagree. So okay. I'm not saying that, hey, come in and go into your workplace and just be, this mess. I hate to say quotation mess. But
you're so nice. You're always being so nice.
But I think it's more about be compassionate, have empathy. People are dropping these words left, right, and center. You guys don't even know what they mean. Okay. If you're going to be empathetic, that means leading with heart. That means being kind, putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Hey, they're going through a divorce. Hey, they just lost someone. This is real stuff that happens. And
what about the common complainer?
Well, that's a toxic individual. That is a different kind of conversation.
Okay, so I'm just trying to clarify that, though.
There is a different conversation, and this is where we can talk about that in future episodes. But those toxic little characters that hang out in the workplace or, in school or whatever, you have to protect yourself, because if not, then it can turn into something that is are you joking? This is not here to make it into some sort of drama or negative drama around whatever.
Right.
But I'm talking about having leaders understand, people can't leave things at the door. I think something has shifted substantially with people with needing some level of connection, showing leaders to, be compassionate, have the conversations, look people in the eye when you're having a conversation. Right. I think that those are serious things. So
I'm looking into something. Give me a moment here.
She's looking at, right. But she is looking at me with her eyes from the side of her head.
No, I am.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I am.
So Bret, any thoughts on this? I know we're kind of going back and forth, but it's a real thing, current day, relevant thing.
Mm-hmm. I think I want to sit firmly in the middle of both of you.
Yeah, probably.
That's kind of where I'm at with what Kristina's saying too, though. I'm not disagreeing that we're human. We're going to bring our emotion into it. We all three of us just did it before we started recording today.
Absolutely.
And usually it's coming from a good place where almost like a talk therapy where you're like, hey, I want to be honest with everyone. Now, there's different degrees of honesty and different levels of professionalism in certain workplaces, and certain workplaces are different than others, right? So it's a time and a place type thing as well.
I would agree with that.
But you don't want to also be too restrictive. So I get that balance is a hard balance to strike, but it's important to that leaving the emotions at the door thing. I agree. It's kind of gone.
That's shifting.
You want to definitely converse and talk and say things. And get your work done.
And here's the thing. People make the assumption, and we're not talking about toxic folks, but just in general, when someone's talking about the emotion, if you allow it to kind of hey, talk it through or whatever, it's gone. But the more you block it and say, hey, no, we don't talk about it, because I've witnessed it. There's many people that have broken down in my office just because they've held on to so much and they haven't been able to kind of deal with it, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. I certainly wasn't going against that mindset, because I do agree. I mean, working in healthcare, particularly with some of the therapists that I do work with, they do treatment with people for an hour and a half. So people divulge a lot of what's going on in their life. And then you're in a situation, not me, I don't provide care. I'm in my job, I'm managing those people. I'll get a therapist that will come to me and say, I'm going through some stuff. And then they have to sit in let's say a massage treatment or physio treatment for a length of time, hearing other people's problems. You kind of have to start to compartmentalize. And I have conversations with some of my staff at times where I know there's, maybe mental health things going on with their own lives, or stress. Like it's life in the Western world is becoming extremely expensive for people. So they're listening to people's problems all day about their own things. And then it's hard not to feel exhausted by taking that on. So oftentimes I have to, tell my staff, you really have to try to, you're working in the way of healing people. Those people don't come in for a treatment wanting to hear your issues.
True.
So you do, in a sense, have to leave it at the door. I'm here for support for you. But when you're providing healthcare, you are getting a lot of that. So again, I just always go back to balance. On every topic we've even discussed with the podcast, on today's topic, heart versus mind, I think I want to just be careful to share a message that it's good to lead with your heart as it is good to lead with your mind.
Oh, I think you need both. If
act.
You're going to be highly effective, you need a balance of both. And I think that typically when we only think through our stuff, then that's all mind, right? And if you hear me swallow. Yeah, I did.
I should have turned away.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. But when you're thinking through everything and you're not allowing your heart to kind of, and it's okay. Like your emotions, how do I feel about this? How can I read this room? How do I feel about this individual? Those are okay comments, and they should be encouraged along with thinking through the next steps, right? But before, typically, I think historically, the emotional side of it has not been developed the same way, I would say, as the intellect. Yes.
Do you think that has something to do with the workforce had less women in it before, and women are known to, lead more with their heart than their mind, and the man says, you come and you do work and you leave your problems outside of here? Like, do you think that?
Well, I think so. It's funny. This can be a future conversation about masculine and feminine traits. You can easily have males that have feminine traits. Feminine traits, typically, not a gender body thing, but typically, when they've been encouraged in females, are much more collaborative, nurturing, compassionate, empathetic. Not saying, I just want to make sure this clear to everyone, not saying that guys can't have this, but these are feminine traits. The question around, do you think this was lacking in corporate, in the workplace or whatever? I would absolutely agree. That I do think that those traits were lacking. And I think that since, and I don't want to bring up COVID, but since that shift, that paradigm shift, it literally was a paradigm shift, people are needing that nurturing energy more than ever. And then it complements the masculine, which is more around execution, results, structure, all that stuff to really build out your best possible result.
Back to balance,
mind and heart.
And something I didn't think about when you first brought up the topic before we started recording, but it kind of dawned on me now, is that sometimes it might just be, it's not just always an emotional thing that is getting brought up, but you might have a physical ailment and something as so simple but chronic as like arthritis or something that you're dealing with every day, and then that transfer because of the pain and maybe the immobility you might have depending on stage. Arthritis absolutely. As the example there, it translates into your emotions and into the workplace, and it is strictly a physical thing that's happening. So I didn't even think about that really before.
It's true, and that's why I think, just in general, that's why I think this conversation, I love this conversation. I think this is probably going to go as one of my favorites, because we need to challenge ourselves to think a little bit differently around it, right? It's not just emotions, boo-hoo emotions. It's kind of like, guys, why are the emotions happening? And what is the level of compassion and care? So the example that you used with one of the healthcare workers, that is still compassionate to me. That's still pulling them aside, being compassionate and saying, hey, okay, we need you to execute over this hour and be clear. But if you need support prior to or need support after, I'm here. That is compassionate.
Oh, well, you have to. Yeah, you have to. Again, I mean, I sound like a broken record over and over and over again, but it is that idea of finding that sweet spot for people. And
absolutely.
I think that, depending on your line of work, For example, you know, when Bret and I have in the past photographed a lot of weddings, Bret is thinking technical. That's his element. That's where he's thinking about all the technical, the lighting, the taking the photos. I deal more with the side of the client. And I get to know these people and these families, and we've had families where they're going through a lot. And then I get to their wedding day and I feel a heart connection to them.
So nice. Yeah, see? Yeah, so nice.
Bad timing. I was about to have a moment.
Okay, keep going. I'm listening.
But I'll be, you know, at a wedding and I'm walking around with the second camera, supposed to photograph, and I'll be crying because I'm really feeling these people and this connection to these people. Because I've spent more of that time with them. Now, Bret, on the other hand, we have different roles in the past when we've done weddings, so he doesn't spend as much of that time with them. He does more of the technical, taking the photos, the editing. So it's a different piece for him. But don't you think in moments, Bret, like in editing process, when I start to tell you, oh, you know, this was what was going on and that was really moving, don't you even feel a little more touched by
that? Does the tear come? Does the tear come in the shot glass?
No, I'm there crying at someone's wedding that I've only known for, you know, 6 months to a year since they booked. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so moving. And Bret's looking across going, get over here, shoot the photos, take the pictures. But when you hear the story, you feel more of a connection to that moment that you photographed and then we're editing. It does give you a different emotional.
Well, and you guys have this secret weapon. This is the whole thing. It's like you had the balance between the two of you to cover both. So if Bret just went out there and started talking, no offense, Bret, but if you want to just started chatting with people.
Is this a commentary on how I communicate with you?
No, not with me. I love it. It's all good. But I'm just saying, like in general, if you're much more technical, and I would see it in business a lot, it's like I would have senior leaders that would not know how to connect with their employees because they were so focused on the result and how to get the result and data and technical driven that they missed that connection part with humans. So
you've commonly said that he's commonly said that.
And when I
himself.
try to teach, that's where I notice it on my own is when I'm trying to teach somebody something. I think the most important thing in teaching is establish that connection so that, you know, the subject is understanding what's going on. I'm just like,
he's all mine.
This needs to be done.
He's all mine. He's like, read the thing and do the A, B, and C.
Yeah. And I know that I'm not good at it, so I try to actually avoid it.
Yeah,
the opposite.
But that's why you guys make a great team. Honestly, right? You know, even for us, like, and I'll put myself in your bucket, like to set up all this stuff, you guys have no idea all the technical nuances that go along with putting this together so beautifully. I'm like, there is no way. It's like sitting me in accounting. Not going to happen. That's not where you're going to max out my full potential, right? But I understand that, and I embrace everybody. Like, hey, okay, this is great. I want you on the team because I can't do that. And then, you know, and then I bring this, whatever it is. But yeah.
All the topics, the conversation pieces. I mean, again, we can remind anyone who's tuning in, listening wise or visually watching, Kristina wrote a book, and many of these topics that we are running through on each of our episodes do get touched upon in her book, theauthenticyou.
Yeah.
And she's got a great perspective on these things because not only do you have the educational foundation behind it, you actually have the work experience and the experience in those worlds of corporate, also being a mom and having a family. So there's all those layers and elements to what you do bring. So
well, thank you. And it's funny. It's like when I think about this, I didn't really understand, and I think we all do it in our own way, right? So for me, heart, they used to throw me in rooms with like 50 angry men. They were like in this, you know, big debate back and forth and whatnot. But I didn't realize that I would go in and I would be able to speak to them and connect with them and hear their issues. But that was all heart. That wasn't my mind going in. That was where I could have those conversations and be genuine. People know when you're faking it, guys. Like I'll say full force. And that now that I understand it years later, I think what a gift. And we should be honoring that. If you have the capability to read someone, like you can see, hey, something's off. You know how you were asking if Candice was crying earlier? Yeah. So that kind of thing. That
just
is
because I look tired.
I know, no, you look beautiful. But like, I just, it's one of those things that I think it's really, really a powerful tool when you can understand that it does have a lot of value in our society.
Yeah, again, this topic is huge. I mean, many of the topics we brought up are huge. It's hard to just cover them in the short 45-minute to an hour episode that we have. But heart versus mind, or less versus, but heart and mind, I think is kind of a better way to frame it.
Heart and mind is your balance.
Yeah.
And then heart, looking at it by itself, and mind. Because I think the intention here is really to get people to start thinking about it. Right? Like, think about where you stand on this. Are you more like leaning on the one side? Or are you leaning on the other? Are you actually synergizing and having both? Because if you
I got a goodie for you.
Oh, yeah?
I do.
Okay, share.
I have a goodie. It's a good share because, without making it too personal, my eldest son was going through a bit of a tough time in, I want to say grade 2. And, there was a lot happening at home at the time, and I just could tell he wasn't really connecting with school.
Right.
And so I thought, I'm going to go in and speak to his teacher, because I think that she, being an educator and being in a classroom full of children with different kinds of needs and different personalities, if you get a leg up, kind of, you get the information.
Oh, see, this is a good plan. Guys, remember this. Yeah.
So I made a meeting, and I went to school, and I spoke to this particular individual about things that were happening at home. And I said to her, listen, I'm not trying to get too personal. I don't need to share details with you, but listen, this is going on. He's feeling definitely a little more sensitive. He's having some self-confidence issues because of witnessing things that are happening at home. It was a split, obviously. So he's now seeing that his two parents are
not getting along
and going separate ways. So I wanted to be very clear with this teacher. And in closing, I said to her, I only share this with you so that as an educator, you know what gloves to wear when you're handling him. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm not asking for good grades. I'm not asking for anything different. I just feel that it will help you connect with him. And I don't want to call out teachers.
Let's not do that.
But I am going to say what she said to me, because I think it's important. And this is not insulting her. It's just where she comes from. She said, well, you don't have to tell me all of this, because I treat all the kids in my class the same. And we can leave it at that. Yeah. And I thought it was interesting. She does come from a different generation. I'm not calling her out. She's doing the best she knows how to do, but I don't feel that
mind versus heart. Beautiful example.
And I had my eldest son had a tear.
Maybe there is a tear coming. I don't know.
No, because I'm like, don't say your kid's name.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're getting closer, right? It's just gonna. You guys want me to swear?
That's fine. Well, then you should swear.
No.
Shit.
We will put a swear over.
We're gonna dub the name. No, it's true though. He did have a tough year that year because he lacked connection. So that speaks to mind versus heart. That was my example. Sorry to ramble here.
No, I love this
Bret's
example.
Already like. He's got his surprise.
No, but I think we will go on there in a second. I just want to call out, that is a beautiful example that I think people need to realize. We are living in that space all the time. You will see people that remember you were talking about that other coach and that whole situation, which I won't go into, but like where you spoke from your heart to someone and you get a different result. But you can actually, if you take the time, all joking aside, you will really see how people start to operate. If they start telling you what the process is and how it's supposed to be, and they are not connected to how someone is actually feeling about that situation. And that level of empathy and compassion can be missing. It goes a long way, guys. More bees with honey. Is that what they say?
Catch more bees with honey.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll pause. We'll pause there. Okay.
Well, not a pot.
Oh God.
Dennis. Oh, no.
Okay,
He's
let's
on
see.
skateboard. I love tennis. This is not tennis.
It's not tennis.
What is it? Golf?
He should not be doing that on a tennis court, by the way.
Oh,
That
I
is
know.
very
Yeah.
frowned upon.
And Candice is a tennis player, like a good one.
Oh, I used to be much better. What do you got for us, Brad?
Listen, skateboarders follow no rules.
Oh, it's a skateboard.
Ooh, he's a rebel. He's a rebel.
So I chose athletes as
Okay.
examples here for Kristina's example that she gave for this topic. I kind of resonated with athletes here, and this is Dan Mancina.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a hockey stick in his hand too?
I think so. I'm not too sure what is going to happen here.
And I was introduced to him on another podcast, a long form conversation podcast, which
Okay.
I was riveted with. It's pretty interesting because when you see his story and see what he's capable of doing, and it's outrageous. It's great.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's blind.
That's
When I was 13, I was diagnosed with a degenerative eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, and that pretty much means that
Oh, I
you
love
lose
this.
all your sight, slowly deteriorate throughout your life.
all throughout your life. So he had sight.
And then
Started
he
at
didn't
13.
give up. I
My
think that's
process for
amazing.
seeing anything is way harder and
my
it's like a lot sketchier for me than when I used to see. But I'm
Wow.
only thinking about how am I going to do this? How am I going to make it happen? And everything else just kind of fades away, and it's like the best feeling that you can have.
He's amazing. I can't even.
I can't even do that. I can't even
I
TikTok.
can't even put one foot.
Yeah,
on
I know.
a
Look at this
skateboard.
guy. I love it. Never stop what you love doing. That is the lesson I'm
Wow.
taking away. Incredible.
I thought it was someone with a hockey. I'm like, this guy's gonna do something
That
crazy. This is
is-
even more amazing.
Yeah, because it's like it's one of those things that, don't stop. If you love it, then make sure that you're doing it.
Oh,
Yeah, I just I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. There's no conversation here, but yeah, I listened to this long form podcast where he described how he moves, how he's able to maneuver, and it's a lot of
Wow.
practice and touching, feeling, testing, trial runs,
Trust.
runs.
All a
Trusting your
feeling,
feelings.
right?
And
Feelings hurt.
The muscle memory of skateboarding, right? Like
That is
always
incredible.
is incredible to me in general.
oh my God,
but-
this is
Really
this is-
awesome.
But he'll hit some pretty good jumps or off of stairs and things like that. It's feeling, touching,
Yeah.
the muscle memory of like that kick flip up there. And
Wow!
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow!
So yeah, that's Dan Mancina.
Well, and it's funny.
Dan Mancina rocks.
Because people ask, when I have conversations as to how do I drop into my heart space? Start doing things that you love, right? It's that simple.
Well, he just showed
and that is a
that's for
perfect
sure.
example. That's
Yeah,
excellent.
that's amazing.
I'm in awe, actually.
So staying on skateboarding, but
Oh, more.
this isn't Dan.
Okay, who's this guy?
I don't have a name for this.
We'll call him Joe.
But just bad timing, right?
Oh no!
Oh. A Segway tourist moving slowly.
That guy did not mean to do that. 100%.
It just was
Poor
super
guy.
bad timing where the skateboard collided
oh.
with the Segway. But those Segway things, you see when he fell off of it, they have a mind of their own.
Yeah,
Like,
it started to
they
just
whip around.
totally
Yeah.
take off.
Yeah. Now,
This poor guy feels so bad. He's like, oh dear.
and it happened in slow motion, really.
Well, at least he cares, showing compassion,
That's right.
running over
That's
to
right.
make sure that person is okay.
wanted to give you both sides of it.
Yeah.
Now, this is like a classic skateboard clip, but I'm
You really doing skateboarding today.
always amazed when I see this clip. Describe what's going on.
Okay, so he just hopped on a car, an SUV, and now he just jumped off. And now he's rolling by.
It's a minivan.
Is that a minivan?
Yeah.
But he was driving
he was
it.
the driver. Oh, there's no. Okay.
He jumped off the top of it.
Some people may not watch the
yeah.
podcast. So for
Describe it.
anyone didn't watch this, okay, the video we were just looking at is a guy was driving a minivan. He got out of the minivan, got on top of the minivan
man.
with a skateboard, jumped off the back of it, and then ran and jumped back in it. Do not ever
Well, you really got to love what you do in order to do that.
That is not leading with your mind.
No,
at any capacity. That is not even using your mind. That's just dangerous.
And the car was headed what looked like
towards a lake,
guardrail, or a body of water of some kind.
So, wow,
fascinating clip, an old one within the skateboarding culture. But
I knew you go there.
I knew you guys wouldn't.
Were
have
you
seen
ever
it.
a skateboarder?
Not very well at all. Okay, not very well. Oh, so we're gonna get into some backyard gymnastics.
Oh,
backyard. She's standing on a car.
Or well, front yard here,
and she's doing a backflip. Oh.
Describe what's going on.
Dear God.
Perfect execution of a backflip into the...
She is standing on top of... Is that a BMW? I can't tell.
I can't tell either, actually.
Okay, so...
She's standing on the top of a sports car doing a backflip into the back window and...
breaking her legs. But
no, she's fine. She's fine.
Oh, yeah, she's okay. Listen, so this is an example where someone... obviously loves what they're doing, but they didn't use their mind. This is where the balancing would work out well. Maybe someone would actually go, hey, that's probably not a safe plan. Oh, there's more.
I've seen this.
Now balance.
I have seen this.
This was hot for what?
I haven't seen this.
This was hot for
a couple months, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Okay, what's happening here?
It's a milk crate challenge.
Get right, twin. There we go.
You have to make it up and then down. And he did it. He did it.
That guy made that look fairly easy. I don't know if you've ever stood on that many. If you've ever stood on that many milk crates on grass,
I think I would fall through them. But
you can see how easy it could go wrong.
Oh no, he made that look.
Boom, boom, boom.
So the other thing I would like to call it, look at the crowd. Look at the crowd all revved up, and because
he did a backflip.
That's amazing.
In celebration.
When you're doing your thing, you inspire others. Yeah.
That wasn't even backyard gymnastics. That was like schoolyard gymnastics.
Oh,
that's amazing. Pretty strong for sure to be able to do that.
So this is a stunt woman. So this is her job. Now, is she leading with her heart or her mind here? Because her mind needs to do the job.
Yeah, but
her heart.
To do this on a regular basis as a job, it's got to be a love. Oh.
That's how I would be as a stunt woman.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God, you didn't say whether or not she was very good.
Well, she's probably good.
She's practicing. She's practicing.
So describe what's going on to those not watching.
Okay, stunt woman is running, doing some jump off the wall, jumps on a
Vespa.
Is that a Vespa? Yeah, it's a Vespa. Jumps on a Vespa and then somehow hits the throttle and
falls off.
Bites it, just falls right
after
off.
falling.
Yeah, she didn't use her mind here. I think it would have been worth it.
She needs her mind. It's her job, so she's going to her job.
She loves it, but
she didn't give up after she didn't really nail the planting herself on the Vespa, which is hard. Yeah. That is hard.
Yeah.
And her mind.
And she did laugh at the end, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, she's a stunt woman, so she knows how to fall.
Yeah.
So she's okay.
All right. Well.
Now this last one, talk about heart. My goodness, in the middle of surgery.
No, that's not. What is going on? That's dental. It's got to be. Yeah, it's dental.
They're doing hearts. Is she on drugs?
Yeah, she's on drugs.
Dental work.
This girl's having dental work and doing hearts. Like, what is happening here?
The dentist,
hearts with the dentist.
The doctor dentist is reaching for a syringe, and she's making heart.
Yeah, she's in a good place. That's for
amazing.
Sure.
He's got the hand signal for his assistant, like syringe, and she's like, "That looks like a half a heart."
You complete me. That's what she's saying. You complete me.
Thank you for doing such a good job.
I love this. So funny.
That's
and
good.
That's it.
Okay.
That's what I have a few injuries, a few positive, inspirational people.
Absolutely.
Dan impressed me.
Dan Mancina at Dan Mancina on Instagram. Follow him for sure.
The way.
Yeah.
I think he used to skate for Red Bull. Like he was sponsored by Red Bull, I believe, at one point, and then he might be with Adidas now or something.
You better get that right, because
I don't want to. We'll cut that out. No, but follow him to find out yourself. At Dan the Mancina is his.
That is beautiful.
He's amazing. Yeah. That's leading with
heart.
And
I think I love the story is like, you don't have to give up on the things that you love. Like make sure that they're baked in. it might be a little bit harder as we're getting older. Maybe I'm not going to do gymnastics the same way as I did when I was like 12, but I can still do things that give me joy and excitement. And I think that he is definitely someone who shows that he's all heart and went through adversity and still is going strong. So thumbs up here.
He's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Again, this is like many of our topics. You could talk for days about it. I think the message for me to share with anyone, whether it be a teacher based on the story I told before about a teacher or a leader in the workplace or a healthcare provider or anyone, is it's great to know the value of operating from both of those spaces.
It's necessary to be highly effective.
Yeah. And I think that even in friendships or relationships with your partner, it's nice to be able to use both to grow and to have like positive experiences. Then I think a lot of it has to do with empathy.
Yeah, well, and I would say the part that's so interesting to me is that, so many people want self-help or self-development or, hey, I want to be better. But if you can't unlock this piece, then you're only developing one part, right? The key is, if you really want to tap into your fullest possible potential, is learning how to synergize both your heart and your mind so you can do incredible things, because your heart will take you to different places than your mind will. But if you get them working together, then you're going to see you'll be able to do really fun things much safer than some of our clips that we saw earlier. But it's, our backwards, that one is just, she did not think that. She did not think that through. And the other part that I wanted to say before I close or whatever, but entrepreneurs, right? This is a new world for me, but they really lead by heart. Like if you jump into that space, you've kind of shifted. You're doing it because you love what you're doing. I would hope that, is that the case?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to love what you do when you're an entrepreneur because it takes that much more effort.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to say people in the corporate world.
No, it's fine. I totally get it.
Jobs. The work is there for you. It's kind of outlined. This is the work. This is the task. This is what it's due. For us, yes, there's that element, but we have to actually, the work part, it doesn't just come in.
There's a level of creativity.
Like you have to go get it, and you have to. And in order sometimes to do that, I think you kind of have a bit more of a connection to
who you are,
also just like having faith that it's gonna work out, and that's your heart. That's
right? And your creativity, that's your heart, right? That inspiration that comes from heart, right? So it's a real thing, right?
I also, before we just close this up, I know we're at the end of this. I also use this often in my parenting choices with my kids. I often will I'm raising 2 boys, so I'll often tell them, okay, think this decision through. Think about, is this the right decision? What could the outcome be? I'm talking to little kids.
Yeah.
And then I often remind them, trust your instinct, trust your heart.
I say that all the time.
So it's kind of using that to keep them in touch with both and knowing the importance and the value of both. So I think this can be applied to every type of relationship. And at least I hope that today's episode will remind people that you don't necessarily have to leave your problems at the door, but how are you going to go into your different spaces, whether it's work, whether it's your relationships, whether it's regardless of where it is, how are you going to use both to get a result or have an outcome that works in the best interests of yourself and the people around you that are impacted by you?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you summarized that beautifully. And I think that I just want us to start realizing that there's other ways to get through your day. And when you actually connect with who you are, magic happens. And that's why we're having the dialogue. So I hope you walked away with a little bit of something.
Thanks for those videos, Bret.
No
You're
problem.
Always I don't know where you find half
of
this
what's
stuff,
happening?
And let's go to, is anybody listening, go to modernmatterspodcast.com.
Oh,
correct?
yes.
And email us. There's a Gmail address there. And let us know what swear word you want Kristina to say first, because She needs to say something.
I think it's like I've got this corporate in me that I'm just
please,
like,
we'll get it out of her.
I'm like, okay, that might be episode 10.
Son of a bang. Son of a bang.
Yeah, son of a bang.
Before every episode, we have a shot of tequila. Maybe we'll up the ante and have two. But I know we'll eventually get it out of her.
Yeah. So funny.
I know. I try to choose my times, but anyways.
No, we've been good.
Yeah.
We've been good and professional.
Very much so. Okay.
All right. That's it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.